Hello ladies and gents, this is another video brought to you by Hood. Today's video is about my Solenopsis Geninata and them getting a new home. The first one actually. Woo! If you look here, this is the first major that I've noticed in this colony. I think I've got two or three in total, and this colony is about 300 in size, so they're progressing nicely at the moment, but it's time, looking at the test tubes here, it's time they need a new home. And because Hood is an absolute donut, for some reason I got my filming muddled up with my slow motion camera, so hence why the camera's moving really slowly, and the flashing's actually the camera picking up the high rotation LED light that I use because it's bright white light. So I do apologise for that. There may be some other footage later on with that in. I say now I do apologise, but I try and limit my use of it, but like I said, sorry. It is what it is. But you can clearly see here though that they're doing really well. They are quite strong in numbers. They've got a nice big mountain of brood there. They've started getting their first majors and they're really filling that test tube. There is quite a fair few workers in the outworld because at this point I'd just taken out some food that I was giving them. Well, they hollowed out a cockroach, to be fair, quite a big one to be honest. So I was taking that out and it was getting more excited. You will see the queen today, I think, actually, which is quite nice, and you'll see some good pictures hopefully of the new majors. So fingers crossed, let's hope it's going to be a good video. Oh my word, I forgot. I need to tell you about my Patreon page. You do get loads of benefits, so check it out. I've actually packed, I can't post them yet because I've got COVID still and I have to isolate, but I've packed some stuff that I'm giving them a free giveaway to some of my members, so you can be part of that too if you want. But first I need to say a big thank you to these guys for supporting my channel: Antantics, Adrian D, David D, PJ Grant, Wakushi, and another YouTuber about ants on a rock. So thank you very much guys. But anyway, ants. Now I know quite a few people have used these nests. These are the Wakushi MS nests to house Solenopsis and they seem to be doing well. A good example would be Nathaniel Axel that I put in my last video. Here's the pictures here of his two nests, how quickly that they grew in here, so I know it can be done. Also I think Ant Kingdom's also moved his Solenopsis in, but he hasn't given an update since he's moved them into this nest. So I'm looking forward to moving them in as well and seeing how they get on, because I do rate this nest because I've used it for my noders as well. I'll put a link into their playlist in the top right corner now. Now I'll put this on a time lapse, so bear that in mind while it's shooting up, but I hydrated this with just 2 mils of water using a little pepperlet thingy, whatever you call them, and it did shoot up, and that humidity held reasonably high for about 4 days before it went down to like 45%. So if you're going to use these nests, it needs to be a moisture loving species, because if you try and put a small species that doesn't like moisture, then you're kind of in a world of pain, to be honest, because I don't think they'll do too well. So just bear that in mind if you're going to move them in here, or if you do, only water them for the bare minimum. And this is something else I don't like about this nest, to be honest, is it takes an unusually large tube. Now, unless you've got leaf cutters, it is a large tube for anyone's standards. Now, I have spoke to Wakushi about this nest because I always gripe to him, tell him what I don't like about his stuff that he does, as you could probably tell, because we do talk quite a fair bit. He's a decent bloke, to be fair, but they're too big, and he is looking at making them smaller. But because it's so big, I need to go down from, I think his are like 13 mils to then like 12 mils, and then down to even more, but that's more due to the outworld, down to like 10 mils I think it is. I can't remember the exact mils now, to get the tube from the size of the nest down to the ones of the outworld. So I've had to cut it in, and then luckily enough I can fit my standard 12 mil tube in that I generally use for just about everything in quite nicely. If you see, I struggle a little bit. And then I've got the thinner one. I can't think how thin this is. I think it might even be as thin as like 10 mils. But this is what the outworld uses. So this is what you have to do if you've got the problem that I've got. Like I said, a big tube down to a small tube. It works well, it does form a good seal, and as you can tell up above where I've done that previously with the test tube and the outworld that they're currently in, it does keep them in, so happy days with that one. What I am going to do though is cut this slightly a little bit shorter, so I haven't got such a long bit sticking into the outworld. And don't think the criticism of this nest about the humidity is a bad thing, because I cannot rate this nest and its bigger brother, the 5.5, MS 5.5, that they are really good. My noders are doing really well in them. As you know, you've seen the playlist before, if not, you need to. And what you've also noticed here, I've got a little slither of the 12 mil tubing, and that's so when I put it in the nest, I can connect it securely, so when I'm moving it around it doesn't pop out and I get loads of these little things running around everywhere, because that would be a disaster. Sorry about the camera waving, I'm trying not to make you seasick, I swearsies. But now, you will know as well as I do, Solenopsis Sting. As I put in my last video, they inject a Solenopsin, I believe it's called, into you, which can be an irritant, and if you're allergic to it, it can kill you. I think, like I said that's a long time ago, my last episode, they kill like 30 people a year in America due to the allergic reaction to the stings. Now you might be asking, what am I doing here? Well, I'm playing it safer than sorry. I've not been stung by this, so I don't know if I'm allergic to Solenopsin or not, but I'm not risking it for a biscuit. Unfortunately, PJ Grant, I am not going to get stung, so ha! You're not going to get the enjoyment out of it. But anyway, running joke between me and him, he likes the idea of me getting stung by these because he's a sicko. But as you can see, what I'm doing here is I've got a rubber glove on, like a little searching rubber glove that we use at work, to be fair, and I'm coating it in PTFE. Now I'm coating it in PTFE because the idea is that once they get on here, they would find it difficult to climb up my hand above where the glove is and where they're going to start stinging and biting me, because that would not be cool. Now I do leave this to dry. Obviously I don't put it in camera watching it dry because that would just be boring, but it does dry relatively quickly. So once I've applied it thoroughly all over all of my hand, I leave it to dry before I start going anywhere near the ants, so they do slip off it rather than sticking to the wet surface, which wouldn't be cool. And that's because it's alcohol based, it dries relatively quickly as well. Now I would do that funny French guy that says 5 minutes later where it's all nice and dry, but I haven't got that little clip. In fact, Urban Ant Keeper, maybe you can tell me where you got that clip from, because that'd be cool to add to my videos. 5 minutes later. That's my French accent. Did you like it? I'm working on it. Anyway, I'm off on a tangent. So as always, my camera angles are absolutely atrocious and you can't see what I'm actually doing. But that was relatively painless. I took the cap off and then moved straight in. Now I do actually take all this stuff out, this rubbish out, and you'll see it in a bit when I do a photo, I believe. But I've left it in there for now because it's keeping them distracted and stopping them attacking me. Now I try my hardest to get this on the end of it like I intended to seal it in so it doesn't move around or pop out or anything, because it'll act as a stopper. But I fail miserably several times. As you can see, I get ants all over it, and then I try and knock them off, and as I'm trying to shake them off, and then I have to like put it on the side and scoot them in. It's a pain, but it needs to be done. And just for the interest of not boring to death, I've sped this little bit up, and I'd like to point out that the glove trick actually works. I did get some on the gloves, but I just flicked them off, if you might have seen me done already. So no stingies for me. Unlucky PJ Grant. I didn't get stung once. Ha! Anyway, once it's mostly on, I then use my tweezers and slowly push it in without squishing any of the ants against the outworld, just so it's nice and snug. Now, you guys know I love a time lapse, and you can actually see part of my face in there as well, which has never been seen before on my channel. Maybe I should do a facial reveal. What do you reckon? No, I'll scare you. Anyway, this is just a bit of a time lapse to see them exploring the new nest, and at this time it'd been running for a while, and I ran out of batteries, I think. In fact, no, I got a phone call, so then I had to change it. But as you can see here, they do explore all the corners, they then recruit more workers to go and explore it to make sure they think it's suitable. And once they've done that, then they start the move, which still hasn't happened. This was filmed about a couple of hours ago and they still haven't moved yet, but hopefully I'll catch that later. Now, halfway through that last time lapse, I decided to put a time lapse where I used my iPad on the test tube, and you can see there's an initial burst of movement out of it, then it really slows down. I am going to put the blackout cover on, well, it's foil to be fair, on the test tube, because I don't like forcing moves, as you guys know. Let them move of their own accord. So that's my plan for these guys going forward. How long it will take to move, I don't know, but I am going to stop editing this video now until they do finally move, so I can show you at the end of it. So I decided to leave it to a bit later, 2 days later in fact, actually from editing this video as well, because I generally do things in hand. But as you can clearly see, they have not moved yet. Yet again, I'm going down this line of not making it stressful to move the ants, to move of their own accord, so I've still kept the original test tube covered, a bit like I did with my Fedolinodas, and let them have the option of moving. But these guys haven't, but I will keep you posting upcoming videos because I think these are going to be a cool ant to follow. Anyway, that'll be it for today then, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, check out my link to my Patreon page down below. Don't forget to check out my Facebook and Instagram pages. Just search for Ants Hood. But I'll stop talking rubbish and I'll see you in my next video. So bye for now.